Hello and a very warm welcome back to the garden. Today I'm going to share with you what I think is the most important summer gardening tip to ensure you can enjoy big harvest from your space. So this video is heavily inspired by a video that I saw on the No-Till Growers YouTube channel, and it's actually the thumbnail. On the thumbnail it said, "Just keep planting," and I thought, you know what, that is the tip of summer. So the thing about midsummer onwards is literally every day you come to the garden, there's just more and more growth. So many things are coming through. This is buckwheat, and I've also got chocolate sunflower. And it's really easy to get caught by all of this growth, but it's also crunch time because we're starting to quickly run out of time where we can put new plants in the ground. In a way, I feel that in July, I do perhaps the most transplanting compared to any other month. Because in July, it's actually a very big transitional month. Firstly, we're out of the hungry gap, which means we have so much food coming out, but there's a lot happening on the ground. These beans will be out within the next week or so. So this means space appears ready for new plants. And we can't forget that as gardeners, we're very much limited by the climate, and so time is running out, because if I say sow tomatoes now, there's no way that they'll develop and ripen in time before the first frosts come. And so because of the limitations of the climate, for me now the focus is just keep harvesting, just keep planting, and throw a lot of the rules out the window. My strategy for the rest of July is simple, and that is to make sure that there isn't a single spare bit of space in this whole garden. And I'm going to be really focusing on making sure that every single square inch is filled up, because at the end of the day, just having plants in the ground is really going to help with soil health, and if we can eat it, that's an added bonus. So part of this strategy also covers August, because we're still harvesting a lot in August obviously, and that's where gaps can emerge. And the thing about actually sowing seeds in July in modules ready to transplant in August, 3 for example that I'm really focusing on this year are going to be fennel, pak choi and turnips sown in July. It means you've got that kind of 3 or 4 week head start. So as soon as you take some things out in early August, you can squeeze those in and still get an extra harvest from the same space. Because I know that time is kind of against me for getting new crops in the ground, there sometimes has to be an element of sacrifice. This is a parsley here that has just gone crazy, and it's doing the parsley flop. Every single vegetable might end up doing some kind of flop I found in this garden. And I've got to think between, do I keep both plants in because it's great for the pollinators, or do I remove one so I can get in extra food and save a bit more money? And this is just, there's no right or wrong answer for this. This is just a kind of a thought or decision that you should apply in your own space. One distinct advantage of July and August is because there's so much growth happening, it's actually creating microclimates within the garden. On this side of this Atlantis broccoli, there's actually quite a nice bit of shade. And this is perfect for growing things like lettuce, which in the full summer sun is not going to cope very well, and it runs a risk of bolting or running to seed. What that also means is if you've got a shady side, you'll also have a sunny side. And I've decided to plant a pumpkin here, which is going to make the full use of the sun, and I'm either going to train it up or down and around and just along, and see if I can grow any pumpkins in the small space. Yes, it will confine the pathway a bit, but I'm willing to sacrifice a bit of pathway space for some more food. Another really important thing to help you enjoy nice harvests, and I've got the carrots coming in now, which is really exciting, is to actually think about preserving. Because what I could do is I could leave these carrots in here and they can occupy the space, or I could harvest them, preserve them, and then I could sow or plant another crop. So one of the most effective and delicious ways of preserving your harvest is actually using fermentation. There's so many ways that you can apply fermentation using homegrown produce. And last year, my colleague Sam and I, we created a kitchen garden fermentation online course. And we try to make it as accessible as possible to teach you in around 12 lessons, around 12 recipes, how to start fermenting your produce and unlock new flavors, new experiences, and I really hope you enjoy. So there's a link down below if you're interested in taking it. Here's an example of just trying to fill in as many gaps as possible. I've got some outdoor cucumbers here, which we're going to create a pyramid style frame for these. But I've got some quinoa plants that I've got from our other garden project. So I'm actually going to plant these in here and plant a nice row along the edge of this bed just to see what happens. And you know, if they fail, at least it'll look really cool. Showing you another example here, I can put in a row of leeks because these are dwarf beans, and the useful thing about them is that they're on a single stem, so they can flop over and away from these leeks. So I'm going to put a nice row here. These are winter giant leeks that I can harvest and enjoy from around late November onwards. There's quite a few things happening in this area here, and I've got some pak choi seedlings. And this row of direct sown Celtis right at the end, it didn't germinate. Not sure what happened there, but it's an opportunity for me to put in about 5 different pak choi plants and then fill this up with a bit more food and still squeeze in a harvest before the really cold weather starts to come. A nice habit to get into is as you're watering these new plants that you're putting in and just anything that's growing, to start adding a little bit of any kind of liquid amendments that you've been creating. You've probably seen it if you've been watching my channel this year. I've been using a lot of those. And the reason why is that as plants grow, they're using nutrients, and sometimes they might need a little bit of a supplement, especially towards the end of a growing season. So that's all liquid amendments are. They're a nice supplement to help you grow food that tastes amazing and is very healthy and supports a healthy soil. And I'll show you an example of feeding cucumbers at the other site using a nettle feed. They've basically tripled in growth in about a week. It was insane. So here we are in our other garden, and this is literally cucumber city. These are just going absolutely nuts. Every single day we come here and there's more cucumbers coming out. And I think the thing that's really helped with this is actually feeding it with a nettle feed. And we've been using that regularly over the past weeks, and we've also mulched them with grass clippings, but they absolutely love it. So just adding a little bit of supplemental feed here and there to, if there's any nutrients they're lacking, to make sure that that area is covered, you then get really healthy, productive, high-yielding plants like these. July is a month where you just keep on planting. You want to get as much food and enjoyment from your space as possible. If you're new to growing or you're unsure about perhaps the best ways to utilize smaller spaces within your garden, this video, which I made last week, is going to give you all of the tips and the strategy to make sure that you're making the best use of every single square inch.